Hi, and welcome back to our overview and orientation to the BodiTrak2 Lite pressure mapping system. And thank you for joining us. And we're just going to jump right in here. If you need information on setting up the system, please go to the previous video that talks about the introduction and the setup of the system. So again, when you look at the screen, you've got basically a bar at the top that has different controls there. You have choosing a pressure display, pressure gradient display, a orientation of the screen, a snapshot, and a library. And over here we have some information and settings. We'll go through the information and settings in the next video. But here we're just going to jump right in and make use of the system. So again, pressure is this display, so typical pressure display, and some statistics down here related to it. So you have contact area, and that's right. In this particular case, it's in square centimeters. So as I raise my legs, for instance, or knees above my hips, you see the numbers going down and then up. You have coefficient of variation, and what we want is that percentage to be as low as possible, because the lower it is, the more the pressure is evenly distributed over the entire cushion, and we're really looking for as low as we can get. So so 39 is a pretty good one. You can see it's a fairly good distribution unless I bring my knees up, and we can start to force that number to go up because it becomes more uneven. And that's just a handy checker for one type of surface to another for comparison. If normally as contact area goes up, coefficient of variation goes down. You also have peak pressure index, so that's a calculation of the highest pressure area on the surface of the seat. And then you have this dispersion index. And dispersion index is from some research done at Ohio State. And basically, as that number is above 50%, there is an indication that there could be tissue damage happening with this particular patient. And then we also have this little black square here, and that little black square indicates where the ribbon cable comes out on the sensor itself by the CPU, and that CPU is then getting power from either connected to a battery pack, or you can connect it directly to a wall, like a cell phone charger on a wall connection. If this orientation, which is really handy for training, if you're working with a patient, they can see themselves and relate to the screen image, and you can see the little red dot there as it goes back and forth with the blue line for the center of pressure as they're moving on the surface. So you could perhaps ask them to move to the right, and how far can they go versus moving to the left, for instance. And if you want to rotate it so it's a little, so you can relate to the image more easily, then you can use the double circles here. And now it's, if you're standing in front of the patient, it's more, you can relate to it a little bit more easily. So that's pressure distribution display, and this is gradient. So gradient, wherever you see hotter colors and larger arrows, that's an indication of where the pressure is changing over the surface of the seat faster. So we're measuring millimeters of mercury per centimeter here, movement horizontally across the seat. So some people like this information. It just gives a quick view of where shear might be happening in the surface. A higher end tool perhaps than most people will use, and we really encourage people to stick with this unless they're really interested in gradient and shear. The fact is that if you do a good job redistributing the pressure so that there's no focused peaks, you've done a good job towards preventing any kind of shear activity happening on the surface. And then you also have a snapshot feature here. This snapshot, if you click on it, you'll be encouraged to create a file of the image, of the screenshot. Name here, we want you to name the file, not necessarily put the patient's name in here. We don't want to violate any HIPAA issues here. So the master patient number would be a good way to do this, or the file number would be there. And then you can add whatever kind of notes you want in here. So I could put the MPN number here, and then just a quick note here, sitting, whoops, helps if you can type. And once you save it, information that screenshot's been saved, and I can continue to make screenshots like that. Typical seating protocol for building a file per the ISO standards is in their existing seat system if they have one, perhaps on a mat table so you can identify where all the bony bits of the pelvis are and how they're oriented. Thirdly, on a system that perhaps that insurance companies would prefer, and if that solution doesn't work, then the solution you want to recommend, and you can demonstrate the effectiveness of that solution. And that in 4 steps covers off most of what you need to do. You can always do more, but that's kind of the minimum data set that's set out in the ISO seating standards for pressure mapping. So if we go back to the library, you can go into the library and you can see that this particular image relates to the one that you saw on the screen. And if I go into the, I'm not sure what this one here is, but we'll move along here. Oh, I'll deselect this. I'm going to clean this up quickly. All right, we're going to go back. I'm going to change the cushion. Perhaps this is now on a exercise table. And again, we're just going to simple identify our patient number. All right, and then if I go here, we've got 2 snapshots. You'll notice that I'm going to select both. As soon as I start selecting snapshots, I will, you'll see the PDF icon lights up. So I'm going to connect on that. And it will create a PDF file that you can store on your computer. And then you can use another little application called Zoto, which is included on the tablet, which is a little PDF manipulator. So you can open it in Zoto and then annotate your file and add more information to this, and then share it by email with interested parties, caregivers or insurance companies, etc. So that's a very quick orientation of the BodiTrak Lite system, and we'll go into settings in the next video.